everyone. I hope you're all doing great and managing during this lockdown. I miss everyone in my kitchen, and I thought it would be really nice to try and do some virtual baking together. So I picked a fairly easy recipe, and hopefully you're going to have the ingredients. Some of you might not. But then we'll do this again next week, and hopefully we can stock up from the supermarket. So the thing we're going to do today is these small French cakes called Financiers. So the first thing you need to do is you need to brown some butter. I got my butter over here. If you saw on the post, you basically just need to melt the butter. All the water needs to evaporate. You look in your saucepan, there's these white milk solids. We need them to turn light brown, and it smells a bit like hazelnut. Once that has happened, turn the heat off, and just through a sieve, just a tiny little sieve, just sieve out all the brown parts and just throw them out. So you're left with some nice, very almost like amber colored, nicely smelling butter. So this is kind of the key to the financier cake, so make sure that you get that done first of all. Right, so our ingredients today, I pre-scaled all my things, and if you've been to my classes, you know that I'm a lover of pre-scaling because you just get to do the fun bits, which is basically the baking part. So I got my ground almond in here, got my caster sugar, and I got my plain flour. So these are my 3 dry ingredients. I'm going to start by adding all these 3 into my mixing bowl. And then just grab yourself a little whisk. Just before the lockdown, I popped into IKEA, it was empty, and bought myself another 5 of these whisks. I love them. There you go, IKEA. Not just furniture, also kitchen equipment. Who would have known? Right, so give it a good whisk so it's all combined and you don't have any lumps in here.
We have a question.
Yeah?
How hot should the oven be?
Oh, that's a good one. So behind me, maybe you noticed that I already turned on my oven. 170 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I believe, 330 Fahrenheit, 160 Celsius. There we go. Just getting the brain back to work here. Right, so all your dry ingredients are whisked together, and we need some egg whites. So either you're going to crack about 5 eggs and keep the egg whites, or you're going to buy this little product, 2 chicks, which I love because I don't really ever use egg yolks for anything but pastry cream or ice cream. So it's a good way of not wasting your egg yolks. We need 160 grams. So I do all of my baking by weight because I find it to be more precise. So since Amazon is still running, you might want to get yourself a little scale if you don't have one already, and you can pre-scale everything out by weight. Right, so egg whites. Pour it into your dry ingredients. Grab your whisk again. Give it a little stir. Just so everything is nice and combined and lump-free. So the reason why I ask you to melt your butter, not only does it take like 5 to 10 minutes, but also you don't want to add anything too hot into your egg mixture. So just before you add your butter in, just feel it, or if you have a thermometer, just check the temperature of it. And you don't want your butter to be above 70 degrees. Because what happens above 70 degrees is that your egg will scramble, which wouldn't be so nice in this cake. So, but your butter is still warm, which is fine. So maybe do 2 additions, so add half of your butter in. Give it a good little whisk. Just so it's all nice and combined. And then the other half of your butter goes in. You just whisk it in. Right, so you just want everything, whoopsie, to be nice and uniform. You don't want any butter to be like lying around in your bowl. this is quite an easy recipe because we don't need the KitchenAid or a handheld mixer, anything like that. You just need to bring out a little bit of muscle. Right, so this is basically our batter. Then you can either grab a big spoon and you can pour it into your tin. So I'm going to use my little silicone today. Or you can grab, if you have a piping bag, you get into the piping bag. So you just grab yourself a spatula. Just get everything into the bag. So this batter is really loose, which is why I like using a piping bag, because this makes my life a little bit easier when I start filling up the mold. Just get it all in there. Right, so you always have to grease your tins, even if you're using silicone, because sometimes the cakes just don't come out if you don't grease it. And unless you want to be eating your cake with a spoon out of your tin, make sure that you grease it. So I quite like something like cake release spray, because it's easy. But in this case, because you melted the butter, you still have a bit of butter sitting in your saucepan. So if you don't have one of these cake release sprays, just grab yourself a little brush, dip it into the saucepan, and then grease your tin. Right, so a little bit of cake release spray, 100% natural, organic of course. Then, your cake batter. Up to speed, that you mix all your ingredients together and you have it either in a jug or you have it in a bowl with a big ladle or you have it in your piping bag. So this kind of goes for whenever you make small cakes like our financiers or cupcakes or whatever you're making. I find it to be easier to use the piping bag. And also, the way to get all the cakes the same size is that you fill your tins up halfway, so 50%, and then whatever you got left, you top up with. That way they all, hopefully, should be the same size. So we do 50% in all of these. If your batter is really loose, this is why I like the bag, you just close it with your thumb and your index in between filling up the cakes. So just fill them all up. If you have a small tin, you can make it in that, or like a 6-inch spring foam you can make it in. And if you saw on Instagram where I posted the recipe, I'll post it again. But basically you can use, I use plain flour, a bit of plain flour together with my ground almond. But you could also use gluten-free flour if you want it to be a gluten-free cake. So, once they're all roughly the same size, you want to make sure you get everything out of your bag. Just flatten out your bag using one. Just fill them all up. Right, so for fruit, I'm going to use raspberries because I always have a lot of frozen raspberries in my freezer. But you could also use like coated rhubarb or plum or anything that's like a little bit acidic because it goes quite well with a cake that's sweet, so it's not like overly sweet. So you're going to decorate your cakes, pop a raspberry, whatever other fruit you're using on top of each of the cakes. the cakes. You could also use chocolate chips if you want. Would be nice. So a little bit of raspberries on all of your cakes here. And then, if you have a little bit of chopped nuts, I have a little bit of green pistachio here. You can add a bit on top just to give it a bit of color. Or it could also be like chopped hazelnuts or chopped almonds, anything like that. A nice little texture thing as well. So we got the white cake, the raspberry, and then a little bit of green pistachio on top. So make sure that your oven is preheated to 170 Celsius before you pop these in. So I bake all of my recipes on fan because I find that it just distributes the heat better in the oven. But all our ovens are going to be different, so you need to test it out at home and see. Most likely your oven, even if it says 170, it might be a little bit cooler. So just test and see, either with the oven thermometer, it's probably the easiest thing, one of those small metal ones, to see if it's at temperature. Right, so mine is 170. I'm going to grab my tray, place it top middle of the oven. I'm going to put my timer for 18 minutes, which is kind of specific, but I've been doing this cake many times, so I know it will take 18 minutes in my oven. But check it at 15, and if with either like a toothpick or a cake skewer, if a bit of dough is still on the toothpick, just give it another 2 minutes. But about 18 to 20 minutes should do. That's about it. Right, so I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you baked the financiers. And take a picture and send it, post it on Instagram and tag. And I'll post mine as well. And let me know if you have any questions. All right, enjoy. Bye. Oh.